Today we are going to be looking at Nintendo's Game & Watch called Fire Attack from way back in the year 1982. With our 28th episode bringing us ever closer to completing the review of the widescreen series. But before we look at today's focus, I'd like to quickly answer last episode's What in the World? If you remember the photo, it was a white disc, with a hole in the middle and a gray border, with just a hint of red. Also I could make out the word boy, likely being from the word Game Boy. And here it is, it was the Game Boy camera. Did you guess this object correctly from the original obscured photograph? Released in 1998, it was credited as the smallest digital camera by the Guinness Book of Records at that time. Okay. Heading back over to our episode's focus and star of today's show, let me formally introduce you to the Game & Watch Fire Attack. Launched on March 26 of 1982, this Nintendo offering sold between 250 and 500,000 units. Although steeped in some controversy in later years, the game is based upon a retrospectively popular theme of cowboys and Indians that was still prevalent at the time of issue for this game. We find an old wooden-style, Wild West U.S. cavalry fort, which is under attack by Native Americans. These First Nation warriors, who are armed with flaming torches, attempting to burn down the stronghold. Given the production code of ID-29, this Game & Watch became the 17th issued in the complete range, however it was the 9th widescreen in the series. Having both a clock function and an alarm, coupled together with the normal option to play two variations of the actual game, Fire Attack was a very bright and vibrant console. After the Game & Watch Flagman from the Silver series, this unit was only the second console to be made of orange plastic. Following on from the last episode's game called Turtle Bridge, Fire Attack has a painted black faceplate very similar to the last offering. This is a single-screen, single-player game that comes with 4 primary control buttons. Also similar to Turtle Bridge is the full-color screen underlays, made up of 2 colored foil filters, offering a dynamic gameplay for an LCD game. Game Mode A's instructions are definitely a little bit more complex than any previous games. In the booklet it mentions that the gameplay is set in the old days of the Wild West pioneering era in what we now call Western America expansionism. Attackers, shown in the game as Native Americans, all armed with flaming torches, are trying to burn down the fort. The instructions go on to tell you that the player controls a lone defender of the fort. And by using the previously mentioned 4 buttons, controls a hammer-armed and wielding soldier whose job is to knock away both torches as well as knocking down any attackers that breach the walls. The scoring is set at 2 points every time you knock away a torch, or push back an intruder. In Game Mode A you will be faced with attacks from only 3 directions. A miss results in the fort and the soldier's pants catching fire. This means a single life is lost. Lose 3 lives and the game will be over. Another first for a Game & Watch game is the requirement to press the button twice to actually swing and hit with the hammer. In all previous games, the player only needed to be in the correct location to catch an egg or swing a hammer. This new requirement might take a bit of getting used to, and a bit of practice. Many Game & Watches came with an additional information sheet, usually where the gameplay differed from previous editions. This sheet underscored the need to actually hit the button to bring down the hammer once you'd arrived at the location. As this was previously not required, you were only required to be in the right location. Nintendo decided to add an info sheet on the control buttons. Rejoining the gameplay in Game Mode A, we find that 2 lives have been lost. The current score is 44 and our defender has only a single life remaining. As you can see, attackers are only approaching from 3 directions in Game Mode A. Currently no intruders are attempting to storm the stronghold from the lower left side. However, as with all Game & Watches, the higher your score the faster the attacks become. Here we see a coordinated attack from all 3 directions at the same time, which overwhelmed our defender. The game is over, with a score of 54 achieved. So that was Game Mode A. Now we turn our attention to the second option for this handheld, Game Mode B. In Game Mode B attackers will approach from all 4 directions and they will carry out their attack at a much faster speed than we saw in Game Mode A. The remainder of the gameplay is identical to that which we've just seen. When players reach a bonus score threshold, these being set at each successive units of both 200 and 500 points, any missed lives will be automatically restored. However, if the player has no lost lives to restore, when this bonus occurs, the game then goes into what's called chance time. This is an extra bonus round which lasts for between 30 and 50 seconds. During this chance time, every hit registers 5 points instead of the normal 2. As previously mentioned, the gameplay progressively gets faster and more complex as the player's score increases, but another, albeit smaller bonus cuts in at 100 points. Once every 100 points is passed, the gameplay will slow for a short period. The highest possible score is 9,999. In the unlikely event that any player is able to surpass that milestone, the game will still continue, however the score will sadly revert to 0. Now we'll return our attention to the gameplay. We see that a single life has been lost so far and the score is currently sitting at 172 points. And another life has just been lost, leaving a single life left before the game is over. Perhaps shaken by the miss, the player seems unable to get their rhythm back and yet another life is lost in short succession, which unfortunately ends the game. The final score for Game Mode B ends with 178 points. The caution statement in the instructions booklet is consistent with previous editions on such subjects as temperature tolerance, rough handling and maintenance. Finishing up with the specifications, offering info on clock accuracy, expected battery life and preferred working temperature. Well, we're nearly finished with the Game & Watch Fire Attack in this episode. That'll leave a single widescreen to review in our next offering. Tune in next episode to see Nintendo's widescreen Game & Watch called Snoopy Tennis. The various distributors throughout the world all changed their box art and even sometimes the actual graphics on the console too. These countries included places like Germany, Belgium, Great Britain, the United States, France, Italy, and Australia. Fire Attack received a few cameos, most notably of all was in the Game & Watch Gallery 4. It appears as an unlockable game that luckily featured both a modern and classic version of the gameplay. In classic mode, the Native Americans have now been replaced with generic-style Mr. Game & Watch people. The modern version saw Wario defending a multi-level tower from cannons and explosion. The second cameo was to be found in Smash Bros. However, the flame-carrying character was still originally depicted in its launch as a stereotypical Indian. Following a lot of outrage, the character was eliminated and replaced with a generic stick-like version of Mr. Game & Watch. Well, that wraps up our brief review of the Game & Watch from the widescreen series called Fire Attack. I hope you enjoyed it. But we find ourselves once again at that juncture in our show where I need to ask our regular photograph quiz question. What in the world? All that's left for me to say is thank you. I really appreciate you stopping by and watching our channel. A small favor would equally be appreciated. Please like us, follow us, hit that subscribe button and activate the alarm to ensure you get preference on all our new content and updates. See you all soon.